have a little bit of gray, which is okay, because it's bright rays of light coming out of this room this morning. I do want to take a quick opportunity to recognize a few people that are in the room today. From the city of Port Wayne, we have Mayor Saruna Nishab, Council Member Jim Hensley, and Council Member Tom Figg.
Speech.
We also have former Mayor of the city of Port Wayne, Mr. Tony Valenti.
Yeah.
And former Mayor Pro Tem Jim Daniels. From the office, from the office of Congresswoman Julia Brown and Senator Delgado. And from the office of Supervisor Kathy Long, Ms. Lauren Bianco. Here from the Oxnard Harbor District, Commissioner Arlene Frazier. And if I missed anybody on the official protocol list, speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm getting it. Thanks, Jim. Again, our thanks to the CB Museum for letting us hold our breakfast here this morning. This is, since my 2-year tenure in the chamber, this is my third actual State of the Navy address, and it was actually 2 years ago at this meeting that I started investigating taking this position. So this is kind of like an anniversary as such, and kind of a bittersweet one because our guest speaker this morning is Captain Larry Vasquez, Commanding Officer of Naval Base Ventura County. You're not going to read all of that, are you? I said, well, no, I've got just a short one. So, Captain Vasquez is a native of the Bronx, New York, graduated from Bronx High School of Science and earned his bachelor's degree in Business Administration and Finance from Barber College, get that right? City University of New York. He earned his master's degree in Public Administration from John F. Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University. Although trained as a helicopter pilot, Captain Vasquez missions during his 25-plus years in the Navy have included leading a conventional reconstruction team in Afghanistan, serving on the Chief of Naval Operations Staff, and being named personal administrative aide to the Secretary of the Navy. We are, as a community and personally, saddened to find out that Captain Vasquez is transferring to become the Chief of Staff to the Admiral of the Navy region. And I have to laugh because we think of regions as being small areas, but EURAFSWA, which stands for Europe, Africa, and Southwest Asia. So how's that for a region? Again, my personal thanks, Captain Vasquez. I'm going to let you start talking because they didn't come here to hear me pontificate. Thank you again.
Well, thanks for the invitation to be with you this morning. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of friends in the audience. I put that piece of information in my bio on Bronx High School of Science because Bronx High School of Science in New York has 2 other rival high schools, Stuyvesant High School and then Brooklyn Tech.
We know who is the best.
Putting that in my in the bio. So again, thanks for the invitation. Because this is such a familiar crowd and a friendly crowd, I'm not going to give you the typical NBBC 101. You've seen that before. What I'd like to do is really give you an update on our Navy, your Navy, globally, and then also talk about what is happening here locally, what happened last year as a review, and what we see going forward into the next 2 to 3 years. Because I think it is a very, very exciting time, not only for our Navy. There's a lot of things going on in the world, as you all are probably aware, but it's an exciting time, I think, because of a lot of collaborative work between the Navy base and many of our partners, including our educators. I know the principal of Wainimi High is here as well, and it's just an exciting time, and I'll explain a little bit of that here as we go through the next.
one job.
All right, there it is. So I'm going to break all protocols for PowerPoint presentations here to show you that is a slide that the Chief of Naval Operations gets every morning when he gets briefed. And it really shows where our forces are deployed throughout the globe. And if you take one thing away from that slide is that we're busy. We've got a couple of carrier strike groups out, a couple of amphibious ships. At any one time, 40% of our surface ships are deployed. And there has never been a busier time for our Navy. We are in demand and deployed around the globe. In terms of active duty sailors, we've got about 325,000 and over 100,000 reservists. Why is that important? Because as we withdraw from our main efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Army and the Marine Corps are downsizing considerably. The Army is projected to lose about 100,000 soldiers. And that is significant. And the tough part about that is that we've heard stories of soldiers being deployed in Afghanistan getting a letter saying, hey, thanks for your service, but after you come home, your service is no longer required. And the Army, quite frankly, is having a hard time trying to keep faith with the force as they go through this downsizing. It's all budget related. It's really forced upon the service to do that and still be able to modernize and get a lot of their weapons up to speed. But it's a tough time in those services. The Navy actually is bottomed out and is actually increasing the force. Over a year ago, we had 6,000 billets, 6,000 jobs at sea that were capped. There was nobody in those jobs because of some of our own downsizing. Over the last year, we've been able to fill a little bit over half of those, but we have about 2,500 billets at sea that are still capped. We've got a plan to get there, but you can't make a sailor overnight, and it's going to take a couple of years to really fill those gaps. And we're certainly seeing that here at Fort Juanita Naval Base. So locally, some of our units that are deployed, you should know that VAW 116, an E2 squadron that is based over at Point Mugu, is on the USS Carl Vinson, right now in the Persian Gulf. They are involved in combat operations, and they are on a scheduled 10-month deployment. Now, for the longest time, the Navy had very structured deployments that allowed our families to really plan deployments. Right? Being away from home for 6 months is not easy, but if there's some predictability to the schedule, families were able to make adjustments. Okay, you're not going to be here for birthdays and anniversaries, but you may be home for Christmas. Or you may be gone for Christmas, but you may be home for birthdays and anniversaries. It's getting harder to do that now. And the Carl Vinson being on a 10-month deployment is one of the longest deployments that a carrier strike group and our sailors have seen in probably over the last 20 years. We did have a couple 2 years ago that were about 2.5 months, but they got extended because of things going on with Libya and some other conflicts. But we've never had a scheduled 10-month deployment since I've been in the Navy. So this is really a shift for us. The Chief of Naval Operations has said he wants to get back to 7-month deployments. He didn't say 6-month deployments, but he's looking at 7-month deployments as being the new normal for the foreseeable future. So that is a challenge. And just on Monday, NMCB-4 returned from 6 months in the Pacific, being replaced by NMCB-5, and they will replace NMCB-4 in their places in the Pacific. So typically they'll go out to Okinawa where the main body will be, and then they'll do detachments throughout the Pacific. And again, the Seabees really are the face of the Navy in that part of the world. They go there, as many of you know, they build schools, they build clinics. They are our ambassadors throughout the Pacific, and not just for the Navy, for the entire United States. For our country, they are the face of the country in many, many regions throughout the Pacific and doing great things. So we've been busy. A couple things that you may have seen or heard about that I want to talk about specifically. Victoria Gate. We had to do some changes to the Victoria Gate, working with elected officials and others within the city. We had, because of some increase in security protocols triggered by a shooting at Norfolk Naval Base. So what happened there, a tractor-trailer driver came up to the gate, didn't have the right credentials. They told him because of, as a tractor-trailer, he couldn't turn right at the gate. He was supposed to go through a roundabout and then proceed outside the gate. He didn't do that. He went to the roundabout, found his way to a pier where we had a destroyer anchored there, and made his way up the brow and disarmed one of the security guards, one of our uniformed police at the brow. When one of the other sailors came to the assistance, actually that sailor was shot and killed on the ship before that gentleman was killed as well. Turned out that he was under the influence of drugs, commercial vehicles onto the base. What did that cause? It caused a backup at Victoria Gate. So much so that I was getting direct emails from concerned folks that were working on the base saying, you need to fix this, this is a safety issue. Sent some of my folks out to the gate, they said, yep, we've got a problem. So what we did is created inbound only traffic for Victoria, and we've opened Patterson Gate. I don't have any additional personnel to open Patterson Gate, so we're taking them off patrols and taking sailors that should be doing other things and putting them at that gate. But we thought it was important, not only for our workforce and our sailors, but for the community as well. And we're working on a project to reshape what Victoria Gate looks like to allow more traffic to come through. And we expect that to be done by the end of the year. But that was something that we really felt strongly about and took a proactive stance to get that done. Also, unfortunately, that's a Hawker Hunter aircraft. They're based out of Point Mugu. They're a civilian contractor who supports our ships at sea when they are performing exercises. They perform as aggressor squadrons, but flown by civilian, usually former military, under contract. One of those airplanes was coming back to Point Mugu as a flight of 2. Went on a mission, came back, no indications anything was wrong. The first aircraft landed safely. The second aircraft, about 2 seconds from landing, we called departed. Something went wrong and he crashed into a farmer's field and he was killed. But 1 second later, he lands on PCH during the commute. 2 seconds later, he's on the runway. We don't know, we haven't gotten the results of the examination or the investigation yet from the National Transportation Safety Board, but certainly looking to see if anything happened with the aircraft or the pilot. ATAC is now, after a safety review, they are back flying and supporting the fleet. A lot of you may recall that we were tasked by the Secretary of Defense in response to a request by the Secretary of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services to support an urgent humanitarian crisis. So we were able to turn a facility that we use for sailors going forward to Iraq and Afghanistan into temporary shelters for about 1,500 unaccompanied children. The facility holds a little bit over 500, but in the 2 months or so that we were open, a little bit over 1,500 children went through the facility, then were either reunited with their families, sent to additional shelters, or sent back to their country of origin. Not a typical mission for us, but when the Secretary of Defense calls the Secretary of the Navy and says, make it happen, then we responded. We really had about 10 days to 2 weeks to turn that facility from a facility that was great for active duty or reserve sailors to a place that was welcoming for children, some as young as 12 years old. So I'm very proud of our response and what the team did to put these things together. We were one of 3 facilities throughout the Department of Defense. The other one was in Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, and Fort Sill in Oklahoma. San Antonio had done this before in 2012, but I will tell you that after about a month or so, we were quickly seen as the model for all of DoD, because we had outdoor recreation areas. Our partners for the Health and Human Services Southwest Key. Did a phenomenal job of making it very, very welcoming. And we've been asked, and we did write a lessons learned should we need to duplicate this effort. We were recognized throughout DOT for our efforts. And again, a very, very much a team effort. And one of the things I think that made it so well received and a success was the community support. I know Sylvia was involved in a lot of the outreach efforts, and I personally greeted some of the local lawmakers in California, who I will share with you were not happy when they got to the base, because a lot of you saw the pictures on TV of overcrowding and people sleeping on the floor, wrapped in those aluminum, those blankets that you give people that are in duress and that are cold. But the facility was night and day from that. And once they had a chance to tour the facility, 99% of the folks that came out of there said, "Thanks for what you're doing on the base. We certainly understand it's not your mission, but you've done a phenomenal job." And they were very happy with our response. So, Sylvia, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that I agree with what the captain said, is that this program here really became the model program across the country, because what Southwest Key did along with captain and the entire crew out here was remarkable, and these kids were very well taken care of. Thank you.
Sure. And again, whatever your politics are, at the end of the day, these were children that were in extremis, some of them coming thousands of miles. And I tell you that, share a story with a lot of you. My son's 18 years old. At the time he was 17. If I gave him a bus map and $20 and told him to make his way to Santa Barbara, I think he'd be challenged. These kids were amazing. That's one of the things that they've done just to get here. Also, we had quite a few storms last year. It did affect maybe some of the bases or some of the facilities at Point Magoo, but certainly here at Point Maneva we had some challenges as well. The community's had some challenges because of some storms and sand and some other things here on the beaches, but I think we're recovering from that. Okay, thanks. So, certainly not because of my efforts, but timing-wise, the last 3 years really have changed the face of Naval Base Ventura County. We are growing. When I first got here, I heard a lot of questions about, what's the future of the base, how's it going, and now I have to tell you, we were getting calls at least a couple times a month. Now they're as frequent, if not more frequent, asking about what facilities do we have at the base. Before, when we said just come on in, we can help you, now it's you have to tell us what the specific requirements are, because it is getting full at both bases, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So October 1st, a lot of you are familiar that we've got 3 active CB battalions. October 1st, 3 reserve battalions relocated here from throughout the country. It was a consolidation. It really brought 10 to 15 active duty members per battalion, but each battalion is about 600 sailors. So now when they go on their training, they come here. It makes a lot of sense. You've got the other battalions that can support them. We've got Fort Hunter Liggett for some of their training and exercises. And the reality is we just don't have right now, we don't have enough room on the base to house them. So I think Holiday Inn and some other hotels have kind of seen an uptick in occupancy rates. People love coming here, and it just made a sense from a logistics standpoint. It made a lot of sense, and we're seeing an increase in throughput here through, specifically in Port Wayne, as they come through a couple times a month. Also, everybody knows about drones. We call them unmanned systems. You probably saw something in the news just recently. FAA has set up standards for drones, unmanned systems. And then I think yesterday I saw that the president has talked about us exporting technologies as part of military sales. So there is a desire for an increased use of these drones, and we are right in the middle of it. At Point Magoo specifically, NAVAIR, Naval Air Systems Command, has been launching drones. Drones, those are things that we fire and forget and they don't come back. They've been doing that since 1946. Sea test range, 36,000 square miles that we control, and It is a jewel for the entire Department of Defense. And we continue to use that. A lot of calls for increased use from F-22 to the F-35 fighter. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, anybody see the test of the ship-launched missile? Okay, so we've been launching Tomahawk missiles from some of our destroyers. Destroyer launches a missile, it goes over 1,000 miles and impacts something on land. We have been challenged to use that same missile to go after anything in the ocean because those things move. It's easy to hit a building because it's not moving. They know where it is. We give the missile GPS coordinates and it can go straight to where you need it to go. We have developed a technology where we can give that missile what's called mid-course guidance. So we can launch it and then tell it where to go as it progresses over 1,000 miles. We just tested that on the sea test range 2 weeks ago. We pulled out, there's a barge that we have that's here, based here at Wainimi. It was underway, moving, and between a couple of aircraft, we guided that missile and it struck a large container out there. If you have time, go on YouTube video, look at that, and it has really changed the dynamics for warfare at sea for the Navy. That was developed by NSWC, NavAir, and on the sea test range here, right here in Turkey. Pretty groundbreaking. We also are on track for the E2 squadrons. There's 4 of them now. In 2017, we will get the 5th E2 squadron. And then after that, each one of those squadrons will go through a transition to a new airframe. Right now, there's only 4 airplanes in the squadron. We'll go to 5, and about 20 personnel will be added to each squadron. And that E2 is called E2 Delta. It's a Delta version from a Charlie version, C to D. The leap forward in technology and just communications is night and day. It really brings a different dynamic to the war plan. Coast Guard. We've been talking to the Coast Guard for years about coming here. I tell folks often that we've done everything except put mints on the pillow. So we put mints on the pillow. And now the Coast Guard is very, very interested in coming here, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. And then Army LCUs. I know we've got some Army folks maybe in the crowd. The Army's got boats. I still don't know why they've got boats.
We used to have more boats in the Navy, sir.
I know, we used to have more boats in the Navy. There's just something fundamentally wrong with that. But they're here, we love them. They're part of the team here. They are looking to bring more boats here. And unfortunately, we're talking to them because we just don't know if we can do that. But certainly, they have grown to love Port Hueneme just as much as all of us. So our 3 warfare centers, we are the only base in the country that's got 3 warfare centers. So what does that mean to you? Each one of them has between 1,000 to 2,000 people with some of the brightest engineers and scientists in the country. And they call Naval Base Ventura County. That also brings a lot of specialized testing and projects to the area. And also is one of the reasons that I think some of our educational partnerships that I'll talk about right here in a minute are getting off the ground and doing very well. They also, I want to make sure that I get this right, NOC-WD, the Navy Air Warfare Center, just hired 544 new employees last year. They've told me that they can work every weekend if they have the resources. Obviously, we don't want to work every weekend, but if we have to, we will, and get properly resourced. But they're very, very busy, and they're hiring. Okay. So unmanned systems. So when I first got here, I called it a center of excellence, and I guess that means something and brings money. So I was told I can't use that phrase. So I'm using hub. This is going to be a hub for all unmanned systems. The helicopter version, which as many of you know I'm not fond of because they're trying to take my job as a helicopter pilot, but I know it's going to happen eventually. So the B model is smaller. That is already here. We've got about 4 airframes, continue to test that. The Charlie version is in development, larger like a police helicopter like you would see out in town. We have, the plan is to weaponize that. The smaller one is too small to really carry anything of significance, but the Charlie version, because it's bigger, we are looking to put weapons on that, and that goes from typical police helicopter can stay aloft, can fly for about because you remove all the seats and you don't have to worry about pilots like me. You put a big fuel tank in there, and that aircraft can stay along for 10 to 12 hours. So a big leap in capabilities when it's coming, and it's all being tested here. The Triton, bottom right corner, again, that picture doesn't do it justice. The wingspan is as big as a 757. It is a big airframe, and that is a maritime version. So the concept there is that it will launch and go over the ocean to provide that persistent surveillance. Always the eyes and ears out in the ocean, because the Pacific Ocean hasn't gotten any smaller. That's a big piece of water out there. So the first 50 people will start arriving this summer to enable the training of the air crews and maintenance folks, so that I think the concept is now 2017. We will start to see some airframes, definitely by 2020. We will have, the concept is again currently to be 4 in operations and 4 in maintenance at any one time. When they came here originally 2 years ago, they thought they were going to bring 700 sailors plus families. Now I think it's gone to about 250 to 300 because they want to do some operations in Jacksonville, Florida as well. I don't know how the whole concept in Jacksonville, Florida will go. We're hopeful, I think, but certainly a leap forward for the Navy and for NBDC as we start to support this major airframe. And then the U-Class, the one bottom left, is a carrier version. Being tested on the West Coast, it's already landed and taken off from an aircraft carrier. Currently the concept is that those airframes will fall under the E-2 Hawkeye wing and squadrons, which are all at Point Magoo here on the West Coast. And 3 to 4 to 5 of those will go out with a squadron. So we are really just trying to understand what that means, what kind of additional support, hangars, people that will create, but certainly a growth here at Naval Base Routine. So E2s I talked about, the Triton, that's a little bit bigger picture or a better picture of that. VX-30, which is a squadron here, they do testing on all other forms of UAVs. So it's not just the ones that I mentioned. There are smaller ones that the Navy uses and all of DoD use. So we continue to test them out at Point Magoo. And then the Coast Guard. So what they have told us so far is that by 2016, April of 2016, they want to be operational with 2 helicopters. They're being relocated from LAX. They've been there 70 plus years. And LAX's latest growth plans, I talked to the Coast Guard commander out there. They were no kidding in a room. And LAX is talking about the growth. And the Coast Guard guy looks down and goes, "Where's the Coast Guard station?" "Yeah, you're not part of our future plans." So they turned to us pretty quickly. And so the concept is 2 helicopters in April. And then they're really trying to get the money to build a hangar at Point Magoo to consolidate some of their other assets. Additional helicopters, they got C-130s up in Sacramento, and then they just tested that Fire Scout Bravo, a small helicopter, off of a Coast Guard cutter on the sea test range about a month ago. So they want to start using UAVs as well, and that all makes sense because of that hub for unmanned systems. Offshore assets, I want to talk about this a little bit because it has been in the news. And I just want to tell you from my perspective what's happened. San Miguel Island is an island that is under, the Navy owns it. And then we've got a partnership with the National Park Service to allow people to go out there and use it. It's a national asset, and we very much value our partnership with the National Park Service. The challenge is that we discovered what's called UXO, bomb fragments, and some other things on the island. And the park ranger came to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to take it from you and just not only operate it, but we'd like to own it." So I went back to my staff and said, "Oh, what do we need to do if the Navy doesn't use it? Then why do we own it? Let's turn it over to the Park Service." Long story short, we started digging into it, into our records, and we realized that we didn't have very good records of any clearing operations on that island. So of course I asked $1 million questions. Who's responsible if anybody gets hurt on the island? My staff looked at me and said, "Sir, you are." So I did what I do in many cases. So if it's my family, what do I think is the right thing to do? I would not allow my family to go out there if I didn't know what was there. So we worked with the Park Service. It was a tough call, and we closed the park. That was not received well. We just did, we got some money to do a survey on the island, and we're about to release some of those results. So I can't share a lot of it with you, but what I will tell you is that I'm very happy that I am confident that we took the right steps to close the island. And you'll hear a little bit about that in the next couple of weeks. San Nicolas Island, very sensitive habitat out there. We do a lot of classified testing, but we also have a lot of cultural items, archaeological things that we are responsible for. I am responsible to the 2-star Admiral in San Diego. He's responsible to the 3-star in DC, all the way up to the Chief of Naval Operations. So we take it very, very seriously. We have initiated talks with a tribe who is claiming that they have cultural affiliation. I will tell you that's very significant, and because of that, I halted all digging on San Nicolas Island. Again, I thought it was the right thing to do. And, more will come out here again in the next couple of weeks that will hit the media, that will talk a little bit about what that means. But I restricted access, so our programs, classified programs, have continued, but any other archaeological surveys or digging or any of that has really been put on hold. The Navy's got a great story to tell because we're really good stewards, and I think we'll get back to that, but right now is not the right time. So taking a couple of shots in the press on how Larry Vasquez doesn't like the archaeology community, I will assure you that that is not the case. I respect what they do, and it's a very, very passionate people, but I have responsibilities that I've got to take to my boss, to the Navy, to make sure we're doing the right thing. Okay, thanks. So I'm very proud of the fact that we've got 10 bases within the region, and I think I've shared with many of you, got a great staff doing great things. We were recognized this year for the first time since Naval Base Ventura County came together in 2000 as a large base winner this year. So we were the top large base within the Southwest region. When you consider that Naval Base Coronado and Naval Base San Diego have won it almost exclusively over the last 14 years, I'm very, very proud of our team's efforts. We were recognized, and then we competed internationally with all of the bases in the Navy, and we came out third to some very other larger, much more well-established bases. So very happy with that. And then our environmental awards, we've won 30 plus awards over the last 34 awards. Very, very proud of our environmental awards, our environmental programs. We're recognized as there as well. And then our galleys, so our cafeterias, there are large and are small. Point Mugu is the smaller of the two. They were recognized as the best galley, small galley in the entire Navy. Out of 70 plus installations. So again, just great people doing great things here at Naval Base. So let me tell you about a couple of things that you may not be aware of, and I hope you're not aware of. I think you're aware of it. All right, thanks. Educational partnerships. We have over 10 partnerships between units on the base and schools out in the community. Why is that important? Because not only do we live here and work here, our kids go to schools here. STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math are critical not just to the workforce here, but to the nation. And I think we are one of the leaders in those partnerships. That is the former head of Naval Surface Warfare Center, signed an educational partnership with Dr. Rush at CSUCI. Some of you may be aware of some of the grants that came to Ventura County. One is for $10 million, the other one's for $6 million. And all of that money is coming here locally to help our schools and our students really develop that next phase of education. You've heard Dr. Sabaki talk about linked learning and a new way forward for education. We've got a pretty good pot of money here, but more importantly, we've got folks that are collaborating, like a principal from Wainimi High and others, and I just think it's a very, very exciting time here for not only the base, but educational initiatives and programs in Ventura. So, Coast Guard, I already mentioned that to you, April of 2016. They plan to start operations out of Magoo. It is wonderful. We're going to be closer to the coast, and I think more responsive along here in Ventura. So this is something that I don't think many of you know. And as a kid growing up watching Star Trek and Star Wars, you thought about lasers and, will I ever see lasers in my lifetime? Well, I'm certain that I don't think I'll see a Jedi Knight walking around with a lightsaber. I hope not. That'd be a little scary. We tested, actually this last summer, we fielded, that is a laser system. We put it on a ship and it's operational in the Persian Gulf. So what it will do is a missile system. Usually has a seeker head to show it, to tell it where to go. We have a laser on that ship that is tested and is operational that will knock out that seeker. So basically, the missile then is uncontrollable, usually spins and impacts in the water. That laser was developed and tested here in Naval Base Ventura County, some of it out at San Nicolas Island. So lasers are real, and they are operational right now in the Persian Gulf on one of your Navy ships. So key takeaways. We are growing. We continue to provide 19,000 jobs directly and indirectly to Ventura County. We're growing. Lots of opportunities. I'll tell you about the Naval Air Warfare Center. Hired 544 folks just last year. They cannot hire enough people, talented people, both at NOCWD and Navy Surface Warfare Center, or NAVFAC, Phcc, which is involved in biofuels and other things. Continue to contribute at least $2 billion annually. That's those stats come from a couple of years ago, but I'm confident those are still true. And drones, UAVs, continue to be a growth field, not only in Naval Base Ventura County, but in the entire country. We are right in the middle of it. We are going to be a hub for the Navy, and that's exciting for not only the Navy base, but Ventura County, when we talk about the level of expertise, engineers, and jobs that will bring to California. Okay, next. Air show. We had to cancel it a couple of years ago, but it is on track to come in September of this year, 26th and 27th of September. The Blue Angels are scheduled to be here, as well as the Brightling Show and a couple of others. We're expecting 200,000 people to come through the gates at Point Magoo. And we're even working with the CBs to set up maybe a CB camp to highlight all the things that they do. That concludes my brief. I just want to, again, mention to all of you, I think it was mentioned that I'm going to be moving on from this assignment. The change of command is the 26th of March. I've taken a hardship assignment to Naples, Italy. I try and keep a straight face when I say that. It is a lifelong dream for me to go to Europe. It's the first place that I wanted to go when I graduated from flight school. And they said, you got to go to San Diego. So now probably my last tour in the Navy, my wife and I will get a chance to experience some of Europe. But it is bittersweet. We really have enjoyed being a part of the Ventura County community. But my wife has told me that even when I retire, my golf game is not good enough to sustain us. So she's told me I've got to get a job, and definitely looking forward to coming back here to Ventura County and having dinner again with my dear friends Tony and Bob. So with that, I want to thank you for your support. You've been amazing. This is going to be our 12th move. Still, there is no community that supports their sailors and their servicemen and women like Ventura County, and certainly Portland is part of that family. So I want to thank you for that. With that, I'll take your questions. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, in the beginning, you said that the Army is downsizing 105,000. How many in the Navy are they downsizing?
Well, we're growing. So we have
Oh,
about
oh.
325,000, and we're looking to grow between 5,000 and 6,000 a year. That will not only fill the gap billets, but some sailors, after 4, 6, 10 years, decide, hey, I've served, I want to go do something else. So that helps fill the gap. So we're actually growing. Yes, sir.
You indicate that land is now becoming scarce, or at least in demand on the base. And I assume that that also means you're filling up some of the wharf space too, for whatever their backup missions may be. My question is that how does that translate to accommodating and being a neighbor with the Port of Waikiki, the commercial side of the house? Is that going to put a squeeze on their operations? They also have leaseholds, of course, on the Navy.
Right. So we've got a joint use agreement with the port, and I will tell you that, I'll share with you, one of the things that I was alerted to when I took the seat was some previous, I'll call it miscommunications with the port. I will tell you my relationship with the port has been phenomenal. Matter of fact, Kristen Dekas and I had lunch last Friday. We've got each other on speed dial, and we've got a great relationship. I will tell you in the 3 years that I have been here, those requests to use the Wharf 3 and some of the other wharfs, mainly Wharf 3, they come to me and I approve them as a commanding officer. I don't think I've turned down one. The port, I'll make a pitch for the port if you don't know this. I think the port is 26th or 27th in the nation in terms of tonnage coming through the port, second to San Diego, right behind San Diego. When you think about San Diego, it's a pretty big port. Just amazing things that the port is doing. So to answer your question directly, while we do have ships that come up here and do some valuable testing before they go out to the sea test range, in my 3 years here, I don't think I've said no to the port once. Will that change? I don't know. But I will tell you that we're if we can say yes, we try and accommodate the port. We want to be a good neighbor. We've got a joint use agreement. We actually receive some of the benefits of the joint use agreement. I mean, some of the resources, some money comes to the Navy, which I then use locally. So it's a benefit to us. So where we can be good neighbors and good partners, we certainly want to continue to do that.
You talked about reservists coming now. Is that a change for this space, or?
No, this base has always had a reserve center. Matter of fact, we had two. We had one at Point Mugu and one here at Port Wainini. We've consolidated, so we've closed that reserve center and moved everybody here. But the reserve CBs are different as a battalion. Onesies, twosies, they would come through sometimes, but now you've got 1,800 reserve CBs that will mobilize and train here locally. So that is new and significant. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you said you have, at the moment, you have 19,000 direct and indirect inside the base. How many HR units in the base?
How many?
Human resources. Where do, let's say, for example, because I do placement for our veterans, where do they need to go to find this job? Or how do they get into the base?
Okay, well, I think you're asking two different questions.
Yes.
One is, how do they get hired by units on the base?
Yes.
So we have over 80 units on the base.
Okay.
One of the things that has shifted is local hiring authority. In seeking efficiencies, a lot of the hiring authorities have been withdrawn to regions. So my hiring authority really is in San Diego. And that's where the HR folks are. The jobs are here, but everything is now electronically. USA Jobs,
Right.
for many jobs within DOD, go through there. So that is the first thing. Sailors, when they transition out, go to Transition GPS, it's a program. It used to be 3 days advisory. Now it's 8 days mandatory that our sailors have to go through this training. It's in concert with the Department of Labor. It happens here at Wainimi and also Magoo through our Fleet and Family Service Center. I can put you in touch with a lady who runs that program. Very, very well received. And that is really where the local community can tie in to sailors that are either retiring or separating. And we have, and my numbers may be a little bit off, but over a year ago I looked into this. It's about 250 to 260 sailors per month separate or retire from this base. And a lot of them are looking for opportunities in the community. And I think I've mentioned it at some other forums. Please allow me to kind of reiterate. Veterans bring a lot to the workforce. You've seen that, and this is a friendly crowd, so I don't have to tell you a lot about that. What they bring, and I've seen this firsthand, is we bring people into the services, and all the services are a little bit different. But we bring them in, we shave their heads, we give them all the same type of uniform. We tell them you are no longer an individual, you are part of a team. And we instill that in them throughout the rest of their career. Right? No person can be effective as a fighting unit by themselves. It is a team effort. And then as they start to transition out, we ask them, tell me about yourself. Tell me about why somebody should hire you. Why are you great? And a lot of them are at a loss. They're going, I was part of a team. I did what I was told. Took a young CB aside, and he was going through those same kind of things. I just did my job. Okay, well, tell me what you did. Did you deploy? Yes. Okay, so you went somewhere foreign to you, around the world, logistically. You're given an 8-10 man team. Okay, that's project management. Were you given a budget? I was given a budget. Anything else? I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay, so now you're in combat operations, doing all of those things, and executing these projects. Do you know there's a huge desire for folks to have project managers that can go out and execute a project on time and according to specifications? No, I didn't know that. So it's really tough for those sailors to then turn around and say it's all about me. So that's why it's so important for them to go through this transition GPS. But 8 days doesn't do it. It really just doesn't do it. So again, friendly crowd, I don't think I need to tell you about this, but in other forums I ask people, I'm not asking you to hire a veteran, that's certainly up to you, but at least include one in your hiring decisions or in your interviews. And really be able to ask those probing questions. Tell me what you did. Probably hit you with a lot of acronyms that you're not familiar with. And we try and get that out of them. But doing amazing things, and they're really the young sung heroes. That second first class petty officer, 8-10 years, who is not going to put up with 10-month deployments anymore. A wealth of experience, wants to contribute to a team. They're out there. They are invaluable to any organization. So please help me spread the word on the value and the commitment that they bring to the community. Yes, ma'am.
You were talking about the Carl Benson having a 10-month deployment. Do you see our CVs here having to look past the 6-month deployment?
Tough to tell. CBs have lost a couple of battalions over the last couple of years. CBs do great things, but as you withdraw from Iraq and Afghanistan, again, a lot of things going on in the world. CBs have a pretty constant rotation right now. What they've actually started doing just last year was deploying half a battalion because they didn't have the resources or they wanted to maximize what they have. CBs are wonderful. It says it right there. We don't have enough of them, and nobody wants to pay for them. Right? CBs with their gear are very, very expensive, but the capabilities that they give you on the ground, I think, in my opinion, I think we're short-sighted every time we start cutting battalions. Again, they are the ambassadors for the country, not just the Navy. They are, I don't like to say hearts and minds, But they are the folks that are making those relationships with folks that may try and be our enemies at some point. And you will not find a bigger supporter of the CBs and what they do, because it's not just about construction. It is about establishing those relationships. So I hope that they don't go past the 6 month they've done. I think they've already had some combat deployments that went over 6 months. I think 6 months is, again, for our families and our sailors, about the right time. Over to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Captain Vasquez. Like I said, it is a very bittersweet time for our community to have you transfer. And I will say, as a community leader, or maybe a self-proclaimed community leader, the relationships that I see in this community are outstanding, and it's a top-down effort. We had the benefit, I don't know how quickly news travels up, but we had the benefit a few weekends ago of getting some of the young sailors to come out and volunteer to help with the city cleanup project in the creek, and put about 34 of your young sailors in hip boots and gave them sickles, and they were out cutting down weeds in the Bubbling Springs Creek. And you see that at all levels in this community, regardless. Whatever needs to get done, there is a group of people willing to make it happen. And I know we all value that partnership. And look forward to continuing to build it. Wish you the best of fair winds and following seas as you move on to the next station. And you know, I already told you, come back, you and Nancy and Anna, you have a place to stay. So we are close to time, and in the interest of taking advantage of our next 16 minutes the most effectively, I want you to all have an opportunity to stand up and give your very short introductions. But I'm going to actually start with, and personally publicly thank Mr. Rick Bloom from Rick Bloom Audiovisual for helping us out this morning with our
Thank you. Always responding at the last minute. My name is Rick Bloom. Our company, Rick Bloom Audiovisual, handles the audiovisual requirements for meetings and live events. And we're based right here, proud members of the Chamber, and look forward to meeting all of you who I don't know already. Thank you.
either direction.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Janice Garvin with the CBC here on Port Hueneme, helping our sailors meet their financial and lending needs. So if you have access to the base, come and see us.
Go. Debbie.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Bloom, and I have partnered with Jeff Olson, who is the New York bestseller of The Slide Edge. He's also got the nickname of the Millionaire Maker. We work sharing Nerium International, which is a fantastic opportunity if you're looking for a second income, or if you know of anybody who needs another opportunity to have a residual stream of income.
Go ahead.
Should we go back? Or
Yeah, go back and come around.
Andy Beck, sales manager now over at the Holiday Inn Express, Port Hueneme. Look forward to working with us a lot. Taking over some very big shoes of Marissa, who is now at the Courtyard Director of Sales position. So I look forward to working with everyone at this end of town.
Good morning, Marissa Vanderwyk, Director of Sales at the Courtyard by Marriott after 12 years at the Holiday Inn Express, Port Hueneme. I wanted to thank Captain Vasquez for just being so helpful to us during your 3 years here, and we'll really miss you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vicky Avila. I work with the State of California, EDD. I am a Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Specialist. I'm also a retired Navy. So, glad to be here, and it's my first time, and I just recently moved here from the Bay Area. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Navarrete. I'm from EDD as well, State of California. I'm the local Veterans Employment Rep. What that means to veterans is that I'm the individual who goes out to companies and actually markets these veterans. So if anyone knows of anyone who's hiring, if if you'd like to reach out to me at the end, I'll be here for a little while. Thank you.
I'm Tom Fig. My nighttime job is a city councilman. My daytime job is I'm a land use and development consultant, which means I help to do projects, put stick and mortar on the ground, both for private developers and for public agencies. But right now I'm Mr. Mom. I'm late. I have to go take my son to college, so Godspeed. It was a wonderful program you put on, and I wish you the best.
So why am I sitting next to Tom Fig? Good question. I'm Mark Charney. I'm a land use lawyer. And I've worked with Tom since he was an employee and the director of planning at the city of Guangdini many years ago. My office is in Oxnard. I've been doing this for, this is my 48th year. Be happy to help anyone who needs help with land use and development problems or real estate transactions.
Hello, my name is Oscar Hernandez. I'm the principal at Guanimi High School, and farewell. We'll see you soon, Captain Vasquez, and thank you for your leadership.
And the nicest swimming pool in the county.
And we do have the nicest swimming pool in the county. $3.5 million.
I'm Bernadette McDowell, City Librarian at the Ray D. Pruder Library here in Port Hueneme. Upcoming events at the library include Tween Night Out, February 27th at 5:30. We're partnering with the City of Port Hueneme on this event for children ages 10 to 14. Should be a fun night. On Saturday, February 28th, our event will be Silly Science, which is for all ages. Thank you.
Good morning, Port Hueneme. My name is Jessica Inchkin from Food Share. We are the food bank of Ventura County. I'm their events manager, so if you ever want to partner and do an event with us to benefit Food Share, I'm your go-to. Please talk to me after. Otherwise, March 25th, we are launching our mobile pantry, Food Share and Friends. So I invite you to the Food Share warehouses in South Bank Road in Oxnard, March 25th, 5 p.m. Everyone's welcome. We want everyone to see what we're going to be serving out to the community. So hope to see you guys there.
Arlene Fraser, I'm here representing the Port of Hueneme, and we enjoy all of your input and participation, and you're always welcome to schedule a tour at the port just to get it behind the scenes because it's tight security. And changing my hat, I'm also with the Friends of the Library, but there's another representative that will share some information. And I'm also representing Navy League of Channel Islands, and there's another representative here. And I'm looking around, I don't see anyone from the Channel Islands Maritime Museum. I recently said yes as president, so this year I'm serving as president. So welcome also to the Channel Islands Museum, and my husband also supports the Navy Seabeam Museum. So I'm a person of all around trades, as all of you are. So thank you, and I'll move on.
Well, what I do is help everybody know your name. I'm Thea with Aswell Trophy. We've been around for 50 years this year, and we go out in the community and we do the plaques, we do the shirts, we do the pins, anything that reminds people of who you are. So if you want everybody to know your name, you call Aswell, Thea Schroeder. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Penpraise, the president of the Friends of the Port Hueneme Library. And again, I just want to remind you how lucky we are to have the wonderful Ray D. Pruder in our library in our city. And the Friends, of course, raise money to give more things to the library, allow them to have more programs for all ages, more books and materials in the library. And I have our membership forms, as always. So if any of you aren't members, I hope you will take one of these forms and join us in helping support our wonderful library. Thank you.
My name is Bob Quinn. I'm a retired CB and volunteer in almost every outfit you ever heard of.
I'm Laura Godville. I'm actually the director of this United States Navy Seabeam Museum. Thank you. I thank you all for coming. I've heard from some people this is their first time here. For those of you who were here last year, I hope that you noticed there are lots of changes. And when you come back next year, you'll see a lot more changes as we're ever growing and working toward becoming a really vital part of this community.
Hi, I'm Han Kowalski. I'm the education coordinator here, or education specialist, business events coordinator, because I do that as well, and I'm the tour coordinator as well. So if you guys want to come out for a tour, please contact me, and we could set up a guided tour. We're also doing a new program for educational programming. It's a scholarship program for our staff to be promoting different events every month that's related to what they do and all that.
My name is Aramis Ramirez. I'm the public relations manager here for the museum. As Hanako said, we have a lot of new programs that we're implementing over the next few months. This year we're starting our scholarship program. We've already had our first event this last weekend for Valentine's. We had a really good showing for that, and we have another one coming up next month for our archivists. They're going to show you how we store all of our artifacts and documents. And that's, I believe, March 4th for us, so it's usually a weekend event that we host every month, so you'll be able to come in and enjoy those events. So please keep us in mind when you guys have your next year, okay?
Good morning, I'm Tony Valenti. My new job is the president of the Oxnard College Foundation Board. This year we're going to be giving out about $250,000 in scholarships. We have grown from about a $40,000 budget to a $5.5 million budget. And it's been a pleasure with all the various activities that I serve on. This year has been a real rewarding. And first of all, I want to say thank you. Great leader, Naval Base Ventura County, most of all, personal friend. Thank you.
My name is Barbara Valenti, married to Tony for almost 55 years. I'm with the organization called Wyoming Beautiful. I'm on the board. And what we do is, it's a nonprofit. We raise money during the year and we give it back to our beautiful city of Port Hueneme.
I'm Becky Bruni, and I'm with Friends of the Bard Mansion. And I did bring some of our newsletters, and they're on the desk up front, that will give you an idea of what we are going to do at our dinner on March 14th. So everybody grab one and make reservations to the dinner.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Bianchi-Clement with Supervisor Kathy Long's office. She's chair of the board this year. And we got some fantastic news last week from Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin's office that they have selected her, Kathy Long, being her, as Woman of the Year for the California State Assembly. It's a ceremony that the Women's Caucus does up there in the state legislature. And so she'll be recognized on March 9th in Sacramento. So it's a pretty big honor. She's been in office for 19 years. And this is the first time she's been recognized for this particular honor. So.
Top of the morning, everybody. I'm proud to live in a big town. It makes me feel good. And also we have the biggest banana ship report, and I feel good about too. My name is Jim Hensley, City Councilman here, and I've been fortunate enough to follow along with what Becky just opened up to be elected to the Friends of the Bard Foundation on the media board. I want to reinforce, we have the grandson of Joel McRae. How many guys remember, and how many, well, some girls maybe, Cowboy Joel McRae, right? Yeah. You got a few older guys here like me. He's going to be here, his grandson's going to be here. They have a ranch in Moore Park. It's going to be a wonderful dinner, and we want you all to come. And we hope we've extended a complimentary dinner to the captain and his family. And also we got permission for active duty personnel. I'm asking Kimberly to put this out. Active duty personnel showing up in uniform, hopefully, for $15 a person and their dependents, okay? So we want you to all show up. And we kind of have a quick vision somehow partnershiping with CB Museum and the Bard Foundation over here, where people can get it accessible so the public can know our history. Thank you so much.
My name is Jim Rose. I'm with the Oxnard Union High School District. I oversee that $6 million part of the grant that the captain referred to and work with Oscar, my colleague there. I wanted to say thank you very much for your leadership. You know, I met with you about a year ago and you were planning to upscale, you know, the changes, and I think you're a forward-looking leader and have provided great service to the area. We hope to do the same for the incoming personnel.
Good morning, everyone. Sandra Lajava with the Office of Congresswoman Julia Brownlee. Always great to be here. I want to thank Captain Vasquez for being here this morning, giving us that report, and also for your leadership, the time that you've had here in Portland. I'm Sylvia Munoz-Schnapp, Mayor for the second time here of this beautiful city known as Port Hueneme. And I just have to share that, you know, as we've given the captain accolades, I believe that our partnership with the military has really been strengthened, and it's a personal relationship that Captain Vasquez has with all of us here at the city to really build a vibrant community. You've done incredible things in this short term here, and I personally thank you, but the community thanks you too, sir, for what you've done for us. Thank you.
I'm Doug Breeze, the Mayor Pro Tem in the City of Port Hueneme. I apologize for being late. I had it on my calendar for 9 o'clock. I'm sure it was an awesome presentation, but thank you.
Jim, would you like to say a couple words? Okay. But at least I offered. Jim would like to say, if you have not put your business card in the basket for a door prize, please do so. If anybody else brought a door prize, please bring them forward. And a couple of just quick announcements. And all of these pieces of information from the Friends of the Bar, from the library, from the Friends of the Library up on the front table. But we have our little half sheet of standard reoccurring chamber events. Please grab one of those so that you can put them on your calendars at the correct time, Mayor Pro Tem. The American Cancer Society is getting ready to host its 3rd annual Bark for Life in the Bubbling Springs Park, March 28th. Vendors, sponsors, and dogs are in need for that event. And then as always, member or non-member, sign up for next month's breakfast today and receive that at the early bird price of $15. Program note, we are going to be on March 25th, so on the 4th Wednesday in March, vice the 3rd Wednesday. So a double programming hour. And we will be back to the Holiday Inn Express, where we normally like to do this little event. I have two more small announcements because I know it's really, really close. Our 75th anniversary is this year, 75 years as a Chamber of Commerce. And we are celebrating next Friday night, the 27th, at the Bard Mansion with our dinner and community awards night, where we will recognize Citizen of the Year, Wilbur, Business of the Year, Ventura County Credit Union, along with a host of other military persons of the year, city employee, firefighter, police officer, etc. One of the awards that we also give out at that event is a Chairman's Award, and because I always want to trust but verify and kind of changing protocol, we normally will make a surprise announcement at the event who is recognized as the Chairman's Award recipient. But because of alignment of stars and timing, because I always like surprises, I do want to make a forward announcement that Captain Vasquez, you've been selected by the chairman as the recipient of the Chairman's Award this year. And I'll forward information over to Adrian for that. But again, thank you everyone so much for coming and taking time out of your day to start it off with the Chamber. We do appreciate it. Don't forget the best event is the next event, and we hope to see you there wherever that may be. Thank you so much.